Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani. I'm joined by Lakeisha Hines. We are your practitioners for this morning. We're continuing in the conversation that we started on yesterday. We were talking about how couples can sexually connect. Like, what is the key to sexually connecting after infidelity? We talked about regular connections, like emotional connections, intellectual connections, even connecting spiritually. But that sex piece, that's the piece that many people are struggling in. So, listen, make sure you do us a favor and like, share, and subscribe. Let your community know that this community is live and direct and connecting with you. I want to just acknowledge all the people from all over the country. Nashville, I see. Where else we got? I just saw
Chicago,
Chicago. Yeah, we got
Toronto. What?
California, Philadelphia, Ontario, Canada. Like,
We
come
need to
on.
go there, Hassani. We need to go to Ontario. What do you think? Take Couples Academy on the road to Ontario.
Now, don't listen. Don't say that if you don't mean that, because you know me. I'll get on a plane quick, fast, in a hurry, and we can make
You
that happen.
pay, you book and pay for my flight. I'll come.
See, now we need to talk offline about that. But listen, guys, we're in this conversation, and what we're going to do, we're going to dive right in. I just want to let you know, Last Chance Weekend is this weekend. We're excited about it. If you didn't get in on time, March is available. People are starting to book for March, and we're excited about that as well. Listen, Foundations, what are you waiting for? Foundations is one of those programs that people, I mean, what do you think of Foundations, Lakeisha?
I think Foundations is amazing. I think that the couples literally are getting so much bang for their buck.
For real.
Literally, because they are doing a trial right now for $1. That's it. You can't commit to $1. So you're getting so much bang for your buck. And I just think, it's an awesome opportunity for you and your spouse to come together, or your partner to come together and get some information that you can apply right away to your relationship. So I think it's worth the investment. So do
Absolutely.
it. Do
Absolutely.
it.
So let's get into this conversation. The comments were, man, they were strong.
Crazy yesterday.
We were talking about sex, but let's talk about it because when you're reconnecting after an affair, it's important to have certain conversations that maybe weren't had when you said "I do." I think there are many assumptions that are made.
Mhm.
There are many unspoken expectations that we have, and common sense says if we're marrying and we're doing life together, then obviously we are going to be in a monogamous relationship. And so that's not always the case. Not everybody always thinks like that. It depends
Mhm.
upon your culture, your upbringing, what you saw in your home, what you've been exposed to, that shapes how you view marriage. And so it's important that couples, if they're going to sexually reconnect, that they have a monogamy agreement. Monogamy means we are in a closed relationship and all of our sexual energy, emotional energy, social energy is invested in one another. There are no close call interactions with members of the opposite sex. We're
Yep.
not having any type of sexual play with any members of the opposite sex. It is all about us. So we're talking about commitment here, sexual commitment. And truth be told, listen, there's a lot of confusion in this space of really, and this is why we say you got to have working operational definitions of what monogamy actually is. Because I guarantee you, if you ask enough people, you'll start hearing little variations here and there because people define and interpret it their own particular way. And
Right.
if you don't have these conversations together, it's going to be a problem.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's so crazy too. Like, how many times have we talked to couples and, post infidelity, and they're like, what do you mean? Like, you didn't know that was inappropriate? Like, because we have different definitions. I'm so thankful that, for me in my house, we talked about how our interactions would go with members of the opposite sex and also exes. The exes got exed. That's exactly what happened. Like, when we got married, actually before we got married, during premarital counseling, it was like, it's done. Like, what's the purpose of maintaining those relationships? But everybody doesn't have that conversation. And again, it's assumed that you just know what is the right thing to do. Because even with that, to you, it may seem right, but to me, it's wrong, right? You may not have an issue with it, but I do, and vice versa. So it's important that when you are rebuilding, post infidelity, that you guys lay those ground rules, set that new foundation, and have those conversations about the expectations. And it's crazy because we were just talking before the show, and it's like, you can't hold someone accountable to something that they never knew was an expectation.
There it is.
And then you get upset when they don't meet this unspoken, unknown expectation, but you can't because they didn't know. So make
That's
sure
true.
they know moving forward.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And so once again, Lakeisha, let's just assume that they both do agree with this whole concept of monogamy. But
Mhm.
for me, monogamy, and I know it's early, monogamy means penis inside of someone's vagina, right? Intercourse.
One
And
person,
I mean, I'm just saying that's
only
what it
one
means
person.
to me, one person. So
Right.
anything outside of that is not cheating. So
Right.
if I kiss, if I hug, if I spend quality time, if I'm sexting, if I'm doing all these things, it's not like I put my in her. Like
Right.
that didn't happen. So my definition is completely different than your definition. And so
Yes.
if my value system is different than yours and I live according to my value system, then who was I? I mean, I didn't do anything wrong. And this is why it's important for couples to have a working operational definition, a shared value system, because anything that you wouldn't want your spouse to know about, yeah, that's a betrayal. Like you're intentionally hiding and keep and creeping, and you're clandestine and you're stealth in what you do. You might as well throw that all in the pot together with the
Honey,
divorce.
listen, nobody's orifices better be entered by anybody else. Okay? You
Orifices,
hear me?
that's the
Orifices.
appropriate morning word. There it is.
Every opening should not be entered by anybody else but me and my husband. You don't enter nobody's, nobody enters yours, nobody enters mine.
That's right.
And likewise, okay, your lips better not be on nobody else's nothing but mine. Okay.
Facts.
So those conversations do need to be had. And I mean, while I'm joking right now, I'm so serious in that we do have to define what that looks like, because you may feel like a hug with a coworker is okay. But if that coworker's love language is physical touch, you just told her that you love her.
Mm,
So, like, I really need you to make sure that you're having these conversations with your spouse to clearly define what those boundaries need to be so that there's no confusion, there's no misunderstandings, no one is being misled.
absolutely. Listen, I got to go to Eddie's comment because this kind of speaks to what we were talking about earlier. Hi, my wife cheated on me, and I took her back after being separated for 8 months. She always rejected me when I wanted to make love to her. Now, there's no question in that. It's more of a statement. But when I hear always, it makes me think that there was an issue prior to the marriage. And so we were just talking about that offline about, there's sometimes a spouse can have an aversion to being sexually intimate with one
Mhm.
partner,
Mhm.
and they're shut down. They become numb, and that's a space where they do not come together, and it puts a significant strain on the relationship. And truth be told, many people want to know, well, why did you do it? Why? And we're not justifying anything. There's no
Right.
justification for infidelity, but oftentimes what we find is that when sex, which is a very important component of a healthy relationship, is not honored in that marriage, it unfortunately puts people in a vulnerable state, and they feel like they're forced to drop, they're driven out by
Yeah.
their urges and their longings and their cravings, which are not being met. And they begin to pursue or put themselves in vulnerable positions where they succumb to the temptation of being physically involved with another person. And so that's why sex in a marriage, I tell you, it's a protector, it's a sealant. It really helps to secure. Now, it's not a cure all, but we
Right.
can't deny the significant importance of sex. I mean, Lakeisha, I mean, this is your world. This is what you do. How
I
important
know.
is sexual fulfillment? Now, not just sex, right?
Right.
Because some people have
Fulfillment.
bad sex, irregular sex,
Yep.
painful sex. I'm not interested. What we call duty sex. No.
Mhm.
How important is mutual sexual fulfillment in a marriage?
I mean, it's extremely important. And it's important because it's another way for you to connect with your spouse. And when you have fulfilling sex, it gives you hope and motivation to keep doing what you have to do every day to sustain the relationship, right? We say all the time, marriage is work. And so, what motivation do you have to keep working? Because it's every day you have to do work. And so what is giving you that motivation? What's keeping you connected? And I'm not saying sex is the only thing that does that, but it definitely is a very critical part of it because there's something about the euphoria that happens once you've had that experience with your spouse where you are satisfied, you feel like, yes, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be with who I am supposed to be with. And so Eddie, I do appreciate your comment and I do want to say I want to point out something because you said she always rejects you when you want to make love to her, but she is the one who cheated. And normally, when we see this, where there's one person that's being rejected, is usually the one that's being rejected. That's the one who cheats. So the fact that she is the one who cheated and she's rejecting you, that's making me question what was going on.
Yeah.
And I won't speak about your situation because obviously I don't know yours, but this happens a lot with couples and especially on the woman side. And a lot of it has to do with not being fulfilled sexually. So don't take it personal, bruh. I don't know your situation. I don't know what you were doing. So I'm speaking generally to everyone. If a woman is not experiencing sexual fulfillment and she's been communicating that I need more, I need this, or I need that, and those needs are not being met, there's a void that's there. And that's any type of infidelity. It's not just sexual, right? Any type of emotional, mental, spiritual void, whatever, it creates a space for someone else to be able to come in and fill that void. So I seriously doubt this was something that, people go out looking for, that I'm just going to go and cheat. They wake up one day and say, I'm just going to go cheat on my spouse. There's a void that's created and it somehow magically gets filled by someone else. So I think it's important to always go back to what was happening prior to the infidelity and really trying to take a deep dive and understanding what created that disconnect for you guys sexually. Why was she rejecting? Why wasn't she wanting to engage with you in that way? Because when we're in love and everything's connected mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it naturally happens that we want to connect physically too.
Before we go to a quick break, I do want to ask you this question, and I don't expect you to have like hardcore statistics on it, but just in your polling, what percentage of wives would you say are sexually unfulfilled?
Listen, unfortunately, I'll give you this statistic. 70 to 75% of women do not orgasm from penetration alone. So if you are one who is from a male, right? If you're the one who that's what does it for you, like you can't be fulfilled, satisfied no other way but penetration, 9 times out of 10, your wife is not satisfied because she needs more than that. She needs clitoral stimulation. She needs foreplay. She needs kissing. She needs hugging. She needs stuff outside of the bedroom. So I will say, if we just base it off that statistic, 70 to 75% of women are not being fulfilled.
But I had sex with 20, 30, 40 women before I got married. I know how to please a woman. Why can't I please my wife?
They may have been lying to you, but outside of that, everybody's different. And if you look at the erotic blueprint, which I've talked about before, you can go back, you can check out the show. We are all stimulated in different ways. We need different things. So I love that Ben dropped a comment in here talking about him being a shapeshifter. The shapeshifter is like the bomb. I love the shapeshifter, right? Because they can adapt to anybody. But there are those who are focused on sensuality and those who need that extra touch and that extra foreplay, and they orgasm without penetration at all. So for that person, if they get with someone who's a sexual that needs that penis vaginal connection, then most likely they're not being fulfilled because they need what's going on outside of the penetration. So you got to get to know your partner and know what they're into and what gets them off.
Yeah, but I watch porn, so I know about positions and I know about techniques and I know about how to have sex. Why am I pleasing my wife?
Let me tell you something. Porn sends me to an ungodly place because porn is not real. It's a fantasy. These are people being paid to make you believe that they're actually enjoying what is happening. It's
Mm.
not real. And when you try to take what you see in a movie, in pornography, and bring that into the bedroom, many times women feel cheap and they feel like a piece of meat, and they feel like there's no sensuality, there's no intimacy to that, and it doesn't do it for many, many women. I'm not saying that some don't like it, but most women that I'm dealing with and I'm interacting with, they are turned off by pornography. So if you're trying to take what you see over there and bring it over here, it's not going to work, because again, they feel as if you are trying to treat them like that woman that they saw in that porn, and that's not going to work, because your wife is not her or them. However many women you may have seen, she's not them. And even your past partners, she's not them, nor does she want to be treated like them or compared to them.
So one of the things that I constantly say, particularly those who come to an intensive, is that listen, the reason why you're here is because you, just like us, like many of us, we've made the mistake of doing marriage wrong, and we have to now learn how to do it right. Now, in the context of sex, there's a lot of men in particular who have a longing and a craving to be more connected with their wife, but unfortunately, many of us have done sex wrong, or at least with our wives, and we
Mm-hmm.
have to learn how to do it right. And I think maybe ego and pride and I already know what I'm doing and all these feelings, all these things get in the way that keep men from learning or
Mm-hmm.
rediscovering how to make love to their wives in a way that is satisfactory, or
Yeah.
fulfilling. Forget satisfactory, fulfilling. It makes
Yeah.
me think of Music Soul Child. He has that song, Teach Me How to Love.
Yes.
Well, it's the same. Teach me how to make love to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have this, you know what, I'm willing to learn, like this teachable spirit,
Yes.
then your sexual performance and connection with your spouse can go to a level that you never thought was possible. We're talking about how to sexually connect, guys.
Well, you got to get past the ego for that, Hassani. You got to get past your ego,
Yeah.
right? To be willing to be taught. And when you're told that, hey, that's not working for me, don't take it personal. Like she's saying that you are inadequate in some way, shape, or form. She's just saying that doesn't work for me. So I need you to do this or try something different. Be open, be willing to make adjustments.
Yeah, yeah. We say this all the time that, you have to become a student of your spouse. And
Mm-hmm.
particularly in this area, it may require that you sit down, have a conversation, or actually go through experiential learning where
Mm-hmm.
you learn how to touch, you learn how to move, you learn how to please all over again. It's never too late. It just
Yep.
means that there's a deeper dive and a higher pitch that you can go to in your relationship. Listen, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. There's so many comments in here that we're about to get to on the other side of this break. So stay tuned.
We're really excited about Foundation. It is a new group program where couples are gathering from all around the world twice a week, couples who just want to have a thriving, successful, amazing marriage. No really well-built house is built without a foundation. As a matter of fact, without a foundation, it can't stand. It would just crumble right into the ground. We are going to interview experts and other successful couples so that you can get a glimpse into the lives of other people who are doing what it is that you desire to do, who have and who are accomplishing what it is that you want to accomplish. And we also have over 500 videos available for you to watch of all of our teaching. Everything that we've ever done, every topic that we've ever covered will be accessible to you.
So guys, if this sounds exciting to you and if this sounds like something you've been waiting for, go ahead and just give it a try. We're literally giving away a 15-day trial for $1. And then after that, it's simply $3 a day. And so, is your marriage worth it? Is your future worth it? Join the community today. Just click that button and meet us on the other side.
right, we're back. You're watching the Couples Academy show. We're talking about how to connect sexually with your spouse after an affair. It's a journey, guys. It's gonna take time. It's not gonna happen overnight. But if you're committed to the process, you can experience a tremendous amount of breakthrough. I got to go to Vinshawn. Thank you, brother. He says, "Good." He says, "Good morning, fam. I feel good this morning. Wifey let me just hold her all night long. I'm grateful for that connection." Let me tell you something. That
Yes.
there is a quantum leap.
Yes.
I tell you, sex may be the final destination, but there are several steps to get to that place. And when we're talking that sometimes there's women who have such an aversion, like, don't even touch me. The touch that used to stimulate is the touch that repels. I don't want you looking at me. I don't want your
Hmm.
energy on me. I don't want, just get away from me. The
Yeah.
barricades in the bedroom, but the fact that they could touch all night long
Hmm.
is powerful.
Yes. Because we know from whence they've come.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. All right, here's another comment. I can't bring myself to be intimate with my husband because I have visions of the girl that he had sex with.
Yeah.
How do I get past that thought process and be intimate with my husband again?
Oh man, April. So this is very common, sis, and I'm so sorry that you're going through this. And anybody else who is too. Kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, Hassani, when we were talking about the threesome that only one spouse was aware of. So you have that mental image of the affair partner in your mind when you're being intimate with your husband. And so, sis, my question is, are you ready? Did you jump back in too soon? Did you start re-engaging in sex with your husband before you were actually ready? Have you guys done the work outside of the bedroom before you entered the bedroom? And many, many times what we do is we jump back into sex too soon because of fear, right? Fear that if we don't do it, that they're going to cheat again. Fear that, um, if we don't do it, that we'll never get past this uncomfortableness and this pain and this hurt, and we just want to feel better. So sometimes we'll jump back in because we're tired of the other side of the hurt, the pain, the trauma, the crying, all of those things, and we just want something that makes us feel connected to our partners. But many times we do that too soon and we're not ready. Yesterday we talked about outer course and some other things, but today we're going to talk about hysterical bonding, because you may be, I don't know, you may be experiencing that. And what hysterical bonding is literally what happens after there's been an affair. After the infidelity has happened, somebody cheated, and they are literally wanting to do anything possible to win back their ex's affection. It's
Mm.
all about trying to get reconnected to your partner because you've been so disconnected prior to the infidelity, but obviously during the infidelity. And what it comes down to a lot of times is desirability. So maybe those of you who are talking about you were being rejected from your partner before infidelity, now that someone else has shown interest in your partner, now all of a sudden they become more attractive to you instantly because they were attracted, or someone else was attracted to them. So now you feel that attraction back for them because somebody else was attracted to them. It's a hormonal thing. Sometimes our hormones go crazy and we may have been in a rut, because that happens with couples, especially if we've been together a really, really long time. And you may have been looking at your partner as just being very dull and boring. But now, because of this hysterical bonding, now you want them. And so I don't know, Hassani, have you experienced that with any of your clients?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, hysterical bonding, absolutely. And I think you hit it right on the head. But we only have a few minutes, and I wanted to get to a couple more comments. Eddie says something. He says, "Do you honestly believe because she doesn't want to have sex with me that means that she doesn't love me?" And I would emphatically say, no, it does not mean
No.
that at all.
Mm-mm.
I mean, listen, just speaking from my own experience, we were in that season where she didn't want me to touch her. There was no sex. There was just nothing going on. But it wasn't an indication that she did not love me.
Right.
Love allowed her to endure that season of difficulty that we were able to overcome. But obviously, things have been done, and I think Lakeisha, you referenced this yesterday about oftentimes what's happening in the bedroom is a result of what's happening outside the bedroom. And so
Mhm.
you can't solve the sex issue with more sex. That's not necessarily going to do it. There are
Mhm.
other relational or emotional things that really need to be dealt with to figure out why there's such an aversion and why she turns you down. Also, it's so interesting. Esther Perel wrote a book called Mating in Captivity, and she says that, interestingly enough, when comparing men and women, soon after I do, the desirability for women significantly plummets while the desirability for men continues to rise, right? And so there's a difference in our sexuality, and
Mhm.
many things impact and impair it. And so that was
Yeah.
able to be tremendous insight as well.
Well, ours goes down, I think, because the things oftentimes that our men did to get us, they stopped doing those things. And those were the things that made us feel drawn to them and attracted to them in the first place. So when they stop doing those things, then yes, we start to feel a little less attracted to you. And we're not as excited about being with you and being intimate with you because we feel as if you're not pouring into us in the way that you used to before. And you just excited that you get to have guilt-free sex.
Yeah. And to your point, like Lakeisha, when we were dating, I had a job, she had a job, we lived
Mhm.
in separate places, we came together whenever we did. But
Right.
now we're married, living in a household. I'm
And
working,
working together.
she's working. Now she has other responsibilities to serve me as a wife to a husband on top of her job. Then we have children. Then she's
Yep.
serving those children. Then, a lot of times women, they're spread too thin. They're wearing so many hats. There's so many things that they're
Right.
juggling. There's just a lot of responsibilities. And so see, and this is why it's important to understand before we say I do, the difference between being a bride and being
Yes.
a wife. I think many
Yes.
people dream of the bride in the white dress and walking down the aisle and the honeymoon, but they don't spend enough time really digging into what a wife's role is. And
Mhm.
that impacts them tremendously too. Like, I did not sign up for this. I did not
Well,
expect this.
on the flip side, you guys are not trained as to how you're supposed to go about being a husband. I mean, you guys are taught you're supposed to provide. That's what you're taught. But outside of that, you're not trained on how to meet a woman's emotional needs. And you're a lot of times enter into marriage thinking that I just need to handle the bills and I need to be the
Yeah,
provider and protector and those things, but we don't talk about the emotional stuff. Can I just show April's comment?
please.
April said, I tried to jump back in, but I felt disgusted and unattracted to him. And again, April makes so much sense. When you've experienced betrayal and trauma, literally, biologically, things change with inside of you. Adrenaline, cortisol, all they're both being pumped out. Your fight or flight hormones, your stress hormones, your changing biochemistry leads us to do some crazy, irrational things. And we feel as if we are going crazy. And so there's two forms of coping. It's problem solving, problem focused coping, and emotion focused coping. And a lot of times, back to that hysterical bonding, it's emotional focused coping. And so we have to find the right way to cope depending on what it is that we're trying to deal with. Don't do unhealthy things like drinking, drug, more sex. That's typically what we do, is more sex. No, we have to deal with the issues. And that's why we're here, to help you guys to address those marital problems that took place prior to infidelity ever happening, so you guys can heal it and then actually move toward a healthy sex life where you don't have that invisible third party in the bed with you anymore.
Absolutely. And speaking of third party, Eddie just shared more. I caught my wife doing a threesome with a married couple. I was shocked. So, every
Yeah.
time you leave, you're given another clue of insight into what's happening. And so, listen, I would say reach out to us. To
Mhm.
have these one-off questions is not really serving you. We need to do a deeper dive. So why don't you call? Let's set up a discovery call. Let's see what we can do to help you in your situation, because we don't want you to remain in this state. There's a lot going on here. And Lakeisha, listen, if anybody knows, because you work with several couples
Yeah.
where either, the one is having an affair and all types of affairs, and then others, they've opened
Mhm.
their marriage up to a third party. And
Mhm.
just the devastation and the destruction, not that you can't make it back, not that you can't be restored, you can, but it's a journey.
Yes. It's a process.
It is.
You need help navigating it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Anyway, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. I hope you got something out of today. Lakeisha, I appreciate you coming back on for part two. I know that you have an insanely busy schedule, a lot going on. People are booking you, but you are available. Listen, I wanted to show this before we go. I know we're running out of time, but I had to get this in. Number one, a client testimonial came and says, I want to thank you for everything you've done for us over the last 8-month period. You've saved my family and our marriage. Daniel is a completely different person that I don't even recognize him sometimes. He has allowed God back into his life, and every day he continues to work on himself and shows up. Daniel is finally the man that I knew he could be because of your guidance and leadership. I will forever be grateful to you. Lakeisha, you are a beast at what you do. And listen, for all of those who do not know,
Thank
Lakeisha
you.
has her own show. It's called Saving Our Sex Lives One Bedroom at a Time. And it takes place on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. It's been recently coming on at 12 noon. But just follow her, subscribe to the channel, because what the level of insight that she provides really allows you to get insight on what it takes to bring that connection back into your marriage. So listen, guys, we appreciate you for watching the show. Tomorrow is Friday. It's Ask the Experts. So come with your questions early so that we can dive in. But until then, we love you and we will see you on tomorrow. Take care.